Good morning. I'm David Combs, Mayor of the City of Rocky Mount, and I'm here with some distinguished guests this morning. We just finished our press conference for the 15th annual Down East Viking Football Classic here in Rocky Mount, which has been really become a signature event here in Rocky Mount. And what we want to do is take a few minutes this morning to talk about the history of the Classic and some of the impact it has not only on Rocky Mount, Nash County, but also Elizabeth City State University, and get some comments about what's going to be going on the week of the Classic. So I'm going to start by introducing the panel. We have first to my left here, Dr. Claudy Mackey. He is one of the co-founders of the Down East Viking Football Classic, and he's going to talk a little bit about the history of it and how it got started. We have Robbie Davis, who is not only a Nash County Commissioner, but he's also the chairman of the Nash County Tourism Development Authority, which plays a major role in this, and we're going to hear from Robbie. Chancellor Gilchrist from Elizabeth City State University and kind of the impact it has on the university. And then we're going to hear from Thurles Little, who is the athletic director and also the co-chair of the Down East Viking Football Classic, and talk about some of the coaches and some other recognitions. And then we're going to finish up with Julia Congleton Bryant. Julia has been one of the head people that have been involved in this initiative for many, many years. She's the chair of the event, and she's going to talk about some of the events that are going to be going on during the week of the Down East Viking Classic. I'm going to start with Dr. Mackey and just ask him to kind of give us a history of it, how it got started. And this is the 15th, so tell us a little bit about how it got started.
Well, Mayor, a little over 15 years ago, I approached then athletics director Ed McLean, who was at Elizabeth City, now at Fayetteville, about the notion of playing a football game in Rocky Mount. And when I initially mentioned it to him, he didn't see it. But after several conversations, he said, well, you think they will support it? And to give evidence that there would be support, we took a couple of trips to Rocky Mount, met at the Carlton House with local alums to see what their reaction would be. And having done that, he got a better feel of community support. We then approached at the time, the city manager, Charles Penny, who was serving as a member of the Board of Trustees at Elizabeth City. And being a person involved with city management, he recognized immediately the possibility of what such an event would be to this city. He then took the lead on this end and spoke with members in city council and then the mayor, Mayor Turnage, who agreed that this may work. The problem for us was finding someone that would serve as a lead person in Rocky Mount. Somehow I got asked to ask Miss Bryant to be that person. And believe it or not, when I first approached her, she told me no. And I wouldn't take that because she was serving on every committee in Rocky Mount. And
Still does, by the way.
I think once she saw what we were trying to accomplish, she just took it and started running with it, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I know that it's been a long, when you start something like this, anything like this, 1 year is one thing, but to continue it on year after year after year, I think says a lot about not only the partnership that we've had, but what Elizabeth City State brings, but also the schools that you invite to play in this Classic in terms of the following that they have that will travel to Rocky Mount. And again, I think that's been a big success.
I think one of the interesting pieces for us is that oftentimes when institutions or businesses come into a community, they come in and grab all and leave. From the outset, we felt that we would look at this as a partner. And so we found a way to help Rocky Mount Senior High School, who had access to concessions. Parks and Recreation had access to parking. The Boys and Girls Club, through different vendors, have benefited from it. And it was just an effort to give all of those around us an opportunity to share. And as a consequence, we've had 15 successful years.
Yeah, we did miss one year, I think, when Hurricane Floyd came around, so that's the only reason, and we always hope for good weather during these football classics. I'm just going to take a minute and talk a little bit about the impact it has on the city of Rocky Mount. And when you bring 8,000 to 10,000 people into a city like Rocky Mount for a weekend, and many of these people come in during the middle of the week, it's not just Saturday or Friday, they come in and spend almost the whole week here. It has a huge economic impact on our city. These are people that live all up and down the East Coast. Some people travel many miles to come to this game and fly in for it because it's such a special event for them, almost like a second homecoming we talked about earlier. But for Rocky Mount, it's been a special. Coach Mackey talked about the parking concessions that we get out of it. We turn around and use that money in our Parks and Recreation Department to fund summer programs for children in the community. It also allows us to bring two schools, universities here to Rocky Mount. So some of the children that are in this community have never seen a major college football game. So it gives us a great opportunity to showcase Rocky Mount. And it's been a wonderful partnership with the school, not only from an economic standpoint of view, but also to engage some of our children in the community as well in the whole process. So from Rocky Mount standpoint of view, this is a signature event here in our community, and we welcome them every year, and we hope that this continues for many, many years to be a big part of this community. I want to turn to Robbie for a minute as the chairman of the Nash County Tourism Development Authority. What kind of impact does it have? Because I know one of your goals with that hat on that you wear is filling up hotel rooms and restaurants and that type of thing.
Mayor Combs, that's exactly right. On behalf of my 15-member board at the TDA, we have learned through working with the Viking Classic exactly how we should handle the revenue created by the tax on hotel rooms in Nash County. When we first began, we got a tremendous amount of requests for those funding. Sometimes they were requests from things that really wasn't in the field of travel and tourism, and sometimes they were. But they were always, and still are, more requests than what funding is available. But in dealing with the Classic, it has allowed us to hone in on what we really should be doing with those funds. And what we have determined the last few years as our board is that we should take those funds, put them back into the community in whatever way we can do to continue building the revenues for the hotels, shopping centers, malls, et cetera, restaurants in the greater Rocky Mount, Nash, Edgecombe area. When we have our funding meeting every May, it is a meeting that I, since I have been chairman, always do not look forward to because we like to keep everybody happy, particularly when you're a politician, as you well know, but that's difficult to do. But in dealing with this particular football classic, it has just shown us that what we should be doing is concentrating on a very simple phrase that we use at that meeting, heads in beds. And we just look at each individual request and determine if it is going to generate people in our area, in the hotels, in our restaurants for sales tax revenue as well to keep building that income stream. And we've been very successful in doing that. As I mentioned a little earlier in the press conference, the last 2 years have really grown. And in this economy, I think I've sat and pondered how we continue to do this, but very easily we can determine that it has been along the theme of what sports has done for us in the Nash, Rocky Mount, Edgecombe area. I will say, as I've said one time before, at that meeting, we probably have 8 or 10 requests, but the Viking Football Classic is always the easiest one to deal with, and it lasts about 2 minutes each year. Ms. Ernestine Neal happens to be on y'all's steering committee as well as on our 15-member board. So that's a no-brainer for all of us, because when you look at what we're really supposed to be doing, that surfaces to the top really well. And it has also shown the other requestees for funding really what it is that we're looking for. And there's really no questions asked as why we do it that way. And I greatly appreciate the Viking Classic making that particular job for our 15-member board a lot easier than it may have been in the past. Those funds are used for many things, but primarily to generate additional events like this, as well as lighting at interchanges, et cetera, and billboards, which we're somewhat moving away from because technology has changed things, and we've made some vast movements in that direction this year as well. But on behalf of our TDA board, I greatly want to thank the efforts put forth by this steering committee and what they've done each year in the 15 years we've been experiencing this in Rocky Mount. Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. And again, tourism, believe it or not, is a major industry here for Rocky Mount. And this board really focuses on what they need to be doing to draw tourism to Rocky Mount. And as he said, athletics has become a major part of that. So we appreciate what they do. I want to turn to Dr. Gilchrist now, Chancellor, and for his comments on maybe what the impact is on Elizabeth City State University.
Thank you, Mayor Combs. That is a great way for us to, a segue for us to get into that part for the university. Thanks to you and the citizens of Rocky Mount, you have enabled us as a university to grow. By coming here to the Rocky Mount area, we have been able to demonstrate the quality of the university, which then in return calls families to select the university as a university of choice for them. The financial impact, you have also, as a community, brought the awareness to the Elizabeth City base, because you show the value of our university here in northeastern North Carolina. It is very easy now for the tourism board back home to invest even more in the university. This classic calls us to take another look at even our band program, our marching band program. As you invite local high school bands to the classic, they have now shown a greater interest in our band program. So we've been able to increase our band program for the coming year almost double, more than double in size. So we're excited. The third part that I want to reveal to you today, and I want to say thank you, we have an aviation program at the university. As a result of what you invest in Rocky Mount, even at your airport, it is mandatory for our students to do what we call cross-country. With our 2 aircrafts, this year it is planned that 2 of our students will take those airplanes this year as part of their curriculum, and they will fly in to Rocky Mount. They will land at your airport, they will gas up at your airport, they will spend the day here at the Classic. Then at the end of the day, those 2 students will get back in each of those planes and fly back to Elizabeth City. That's a learning experience that's mandatory for our students. Right. Because of you and all of the facilities here in Rocky Mount, our students can even grow stronger. So we want to thank you and the citizens of Rocky Mount and your investments, because you've caused us to invest even more at Elizabeth City State University.
Thank you, Dr. Gilchrist. And we've got a fabulous airport here for the size of Rocky Mount. And I'm a pilot. I hadn't flown in about 5 or 6 years, but I remember we had discussions when you were starting this program. And it's a great program for somebody, a young person, to get into is aviation. And so I'm glad to see that y'all have moved forward and have that program now. I want to call on Thurles Little. He always has wonderful comments and insights into different things, and want to call on him now. He's the athletic director, but he's also the co-chair of the Viking Classic. So Thurles, how about comments from you in terms of some of the coaches and recognition of other people involved in it?
Thank you, Mayor Combs. First of all, I would like to say that this opportunity that has been afforded Elizabeth City State University's athletic department and its programs at the university is something that we cannot measure in simply dollars and cents. We can't measure that. It has given our students an opportunity that very few institutions have the ability to be able to say that their students are involved in a university and a community-versity concept. At Elizabeth City State University, in our athletic programs, we pride ourselves in our student athletes being able to receive a quality education and then going forth in the various communities or wherever they want to preside with their life and go on with their careers. But we stress the fact that your first priority in coming to Elizabeth City State University is not to participate in the sport that you desire to participate in. Your first priority is to get a quality education. If you are not about a quality education, don't come. That's what we say to our student athletes when we try to recruit them. That's your first priority. Your second priority, all right, is to participate in whatever athletic endeavor you want to participate in. And then your third priority, if that third priority presents itself, is to participate in the social aspects of college life. But don't get them mixed up. Don't ever get them mixed up, because we will be on the firing line and we will be the first ones to remind you of what your priorities are. As far as our athletic teams are concerned, it surprised me very much for the ratings to come out picking Elizabeth City State University's football program as being #1 in the Northern Division and #2 overall in the CIAA. It surprised me because we lost, out of 8 offensive linemen, we lost 7. And by the way, those 7 graduated. It's a difference in losing student athletes because eligibility has run out. But it is more important to be able to stand forth and say they graduated. That's the objective. That's what our #1 objective is. Our student athletes, NCAA, CIAA, we lead in the CIAA in our graduation rate of our student athletes at Elizabeth City State University. Consequently, we have enjoyed success in our athletic programs because of that fact. We are just not a revolving door for athletes. You come in, you play a season, and you leave and go on your merry way because you're not able to come back the next year. That's not going to happen. It will not happen, and it has not happened, and especially since Dr. Gilchrist has been the chief administrator at our institution, because he shares those same qualities as far as our student life is concerned. Oddly enough, I don't think the man sleeps. First thing I hear, the first thing in the morning when I get on the job is Dr. Gilchrist has already been through. You know, when I leave at night after some competition or some game, Dr. Gilchrist is still there. So the administrative responsibilities and administrative concern that we have at Elizabeth City State University is our first priority to our students. Consequently, we have been able to recruit some very good student athletes. They have done an outstanding job. as I said earlier, talking about blind Bartimaeus, you know, and it goes to show you that we have another connection. We have a connection with a greater power that is greater than us. And we try to instill that in our student athletes and our students at Elizabeth City State University. So our coaching staff in football, our coaching staff is a staff that has been together for a number of years. And when you don't have a revolving door in your coaching staff, and everybody knows what the objectives are, and everybody is working towards that common goal, it makes it a lot easier for our teams and our athletes to understand where we're going with our programs. Rocky Mount, again, has afforded us an excellent opportunity. It afforded us an opportunity to be able to put our athletes in front of the general public. But our athletes can leave Elizabeth City State University and say, at Little Liz, we participated in bowl games, we participated in big games that brought many people into the scene. Every institution of our size cannot say that. And we pride ourselves in having this relationship with Rocky Mount.
Thank you. Again, two comments I would make. I saw one of your new players today, and he'll certainly fill up some holes, I can tell you. He's a big guy. And the second thing, you know, I think you make the point about the scholastic part of any university. You know, unfortunately, just a very small percentage of college athletes, and they're some of the best athletes in the world, are going to go on to pro and make a living out of doing it. So that education is a critical piece for any university. And so I think it says a lot about Elizabeth City State that that's your first focus. So I want to move on to Julia now. She is the rose and the thorns up here on this panel for sure, and just want to recognize her. She's been involved in this from the beginning. She's the chairman of the event, and she's going to talk about some of the itinerary of the events that week. And thank you as always, Julia. You look beautiful, and just tell us what's going on that week.
Mayor Combs, when we first started the first year, I dare say that before we talked about the sports part of it, the game, we talked about the youth in the area and in Rocky Mount and the surrounding areas. That was our top priority. That is why we start on Wednesday with events centered around the youth of this area and what have you. And you notice the game is on Saturday.
Right.
We could have maybe Friday had a little something for the youth, but we wanted to be sure that that was our top priority when we start to talk about the Classic. And so as we enter 15 years of the Down East Vikings Football Classic, we owe so much to the dynamic steering committee members. They are to be commended for their outstanding commitment, diligence, and hard work. They have assured us that each year it has its own magical series of events for all ages. And some of the events are, starting Wednesday, September 26th, is the Down East Classic Scholastic Showcase. And we usually feature high schools, surrounding high schools, like Tarboro High, Northern High School, Rocky Mount High, Rocky Mount Academy, and what have you. And that's held at the DoubleTree. And on Thursday, we have a soiree, and that's to show appreciation, and that's invitation only, to our sponsors who've made this possible for us to be able to serve our young people in this city and Nash County as well. And then on Friday, the 28th, we will have the Down East Classic Golf Challenge. We also have to make it lucrative for the parents, too, to become involved in the Classic as well. And so the Down East Classic Golf Challenge is one of them. And that's at the golf club in Rocky Mount. And then at 5:30 on the 28th, the athletic banquet, which consists of teens and cheerleaders from both universities. And it will be held at Thorn Chapel Baptist Church in Rocky Mount. And then, of course, at 9 o'clock, and it's open to the public from 9 to 1, the Down East Classic Step Show. And that's held at Keenan Auditorium on the campus of Edgecombe campus in Tarboro, North Carolina. And this activity involves the step teams of sororities and fraternities from universities throughout the state and Virginia, high schools in Rocky Mount and surrounding areas. Then, of course, Friday morning we have, Friday evening actually, we have from 8 to 1, the Down East Sports Gala. That's held at the Convention Center. And that is in honoring some of the athletes and cheerleaders and what have you that are graduates of Elizabeth City State University. Then, of course, Saturday is the big event. And will start 7 o'clock in the morning with tailgating. I don't know how to even describe that event. Like I say, they start 7 o'clock in the morning, and they end 11, 12 o'clock at night, and filled with a lot of people and cooking and just having a great time. And every once in a while, they all stop and listen to what's going on with the game. Then at 9 a.m., we have the first recruitment reception. And at 2 p.m., the Down East Viking Football Classic pre-game activities. And that's held at the Rocky Mount Complex as well. The ECSU, St. Augustine, and local area high school bands perform. And I think Dr. Gilchrist have talked about that as well. And some of the participants will be Hertford County, Rocky Mount, Northampton County, Northwest Halifax, and Southeast Halifax, and Weldon, and surrounding schools as well. Then, of course, 4 o'clock will be when we will actually turn it up for the game with Elizabeth City State University and St. Augustine College. Tickets priced $15 in advance and $20 at the gate. And then at 6:30 p.m., we're back with the high school band showcase immediately following the game. It is a wonderful, wonderful event. There are a lot of wonderful events going on, and we take pride in making that preparation for our young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. And again, on behalf of the city of Rocky Mount, and I would say Nash County as well as Edgecombe County, we are glad we have partnered with Elizabeth City State University. It's been a great partnership for both of us, and we always look forward to it. So again, if you're out there listening, the game starts at 4 o'clock,
Yes.
September the 29th, and we hope that you'll come in and support the Vikings. If you don't support either team, you want to come see a great football team, a great football game, it's a great opportunity to do that. But there are a lot of alumni from St. Augustine who is going to be here, and also Elizabeth City State University in our area. So I'm sure we'll have 8,000 to 10,000 people here in the community. It's a week long of activities, and it's just been a great success over the years. And again, this is the 15th year. I want to welcome the panel for being here today. Good luck to you, not only in your athletics, but your other endeavors. And again, thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
It's been a great partnership for both of us, and we always look forward to it. So again, if you're out there listening, the game starts at 4 o'clock,
Yes.
September the 29th, and we hope that you'll come in and support the Vikings. If you don't support either team, you you want to come see a great football team, a great football game, it's a great opportunity to do that. But there are a lot of alumni from St. Augustine who is going to be here, and also Elizabeth City State University in our area. So I'm sure we'll have 8,000 to 10,000 people here in the community. It's a week long of activities, and it's just been a great success over the years. And again, this is the 15th year. I want to welcome the panel for being here today. Good luck to you, not only in your athletics, but your other endeavors. And again, thank you all for being here today.